Welcome to Growing Bremerton Together with Mayor Patty Lent. This month we're actually filming at the Puget Sound Naval Museum, and I invite all of you down to see their 4 permanent exhibits. They feature what has been going on in the Navy Yard, and they also feature women that have served. Today's guests include Sailor of the Year for 2010, Maria Velo. We also have Lieutenant Commander Stephen Rue with the USS Nimitz. Please stay with me. As Mayor of Bremerton, we have all kinds of things that are going on in our city, and our biggest and longest partnership has been with the Navy. I have a very special guest with me today, and that is
culinary specialist Maria Velo.
Maria Velo.
Yes, ma'am.
She's in the culinary section, and she's done lots of exciting things since she's been in the Navy. I'm just going to get acquainted with her and ask her, what made you decide to join the Navy?
Well, the first thing is travel. That's one of the big benefits that we have in the Navy. And at first I was going to go to college, but I decided to just go ahead and divert to just go ahead and go into work, straight to work. And that's when I decided, you know what, why not the Navy? I get to travel.
And they also have an educational program.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
you're learning skills that you can have when you are out of the Navy.
Oh, yes, yes.
But this is a career position for you?
Yes, it is. It is. At first, it wasn't. I just thought of doing 4 years, and after that, I'd just go to college afterwards. But I've decided that, you know what, when I join the Navy, this is it for me. So I'm going all the way 20.
That's exciting. How many years do you have with us?
I have 14 and a half years
14.
so far.
You're pretty young looking for that.
Thank you.
Now, I know that you're honored as the culinary. There are great awards that have been given to the different sections of our Navy base.
Yes.
Because they are very competitive, and we have them out in the community as well.
Yes,
so,
ma'am.
Name some of the awards that you've been involved in.
We've competed against Armed Forces culinary competition at Olympic College. That's an annual competition. We won overall victory, first place, of course. We did an annual Everett Naval Base Station. They also did a culinary competition, and we won first place as well on that one.
Very nice.
So.
And then I know there's lots of criteria. Sailor of the month, Sailor of the quarter, but Sailor of the year, that's pretty exciting.
It is.
And did you have to be Sailor of the quarter first in order
yes, ma'am.
to compete?
Yes, you have to. And just to be, nominated for Sailor of the Quarter is a huge achievement for a sailor like myself. But to be selected as a Sailor of the Year is just an extreme honor.
Are there very many women that have been Sailors of the Year?
To be honest, I haven't met one yet. Most of the Sailor of the Years that I've met are men, and I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of females out there that excel as I have as well.
You know, being a woman mayor, it's pretty exciting for me to share limelight with any other leadership that is of a female. We've, not that there aren't more and more all the time, but it's pretty exciting because there are so many career people in the Navy, in politics, that are mostly men. They
Right.
just seem to have started earlier than we did. They have the good old boys. And so as we've come in, we've got some extra challenges kind of as we move through our different facets. What are you trying to get as far as being career for 20 years? Where would you like to end up as your status?
Well,
how far can you go?
as a first class, I can go all the way up to 20 years. My goal is to make chief. Of course. As a first class, that's always a huge achievement,
Yes.
a huge goal. When I make chief, I would like to apply for a warrant officer to become a food service officer for a galley and to be in charge of it.
That would be great.
That is my goal, and if I go all the way to warrant officer, I'll be doing maybe 30 years.
In the time you've served, where have you been based?
I have been based in California. I was there for 7.5 years, and then after that, I was actually here when the Carl Vinson was here. And
Did you serve on the Carl Vinson?
yes, I did.
How
4 years.
exciting.
Yes, it was a great command.
So you've been on, not only on shore, but also out to sea.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I was also attached to a CB command, which is mainly a guy's or a male command, and that was an extreme challenge, but I did it.
Lots of learning.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes. After that, after USS Carl Vinson, we went to Virginia. I was there for 3 years, and now I'm here at Naval Base Kitsap.
Now, can you finish your career here? Or do you think there's another station that you might be moved to?
I would like to try to go to Japan, just to try something new. I'm always up for any challenges or new.
We've got a great base in Japan.
Yes.
We, as the city of Bremerton, has a sister city. It's called Kure, and it's not. It's over closest to Hiroshima.
Oh. Okay.
But we have. Every 5 years we have a delegation, so we either go there or they come here. Our last one was just last year, the same year that 2010, when you were Sailor of the Year, we had 40 delegates come from Japan, the city of Kure.
Oh, wow.
So it's a wonderful place, and it's a good place for you to take and try to achieve that status.
Yes, ma'am.
When you're off duty, what are some of the things you like to do within the city or in our community?
Well, I'm actually in school as well. I'm
At
taking
Olympic
online
College?
class. Yes. Well, I'm taking online colleges, but as far as having fun and hanging out with friends, I like to go to Seattle.
You'd like to. So the ferry's important to you, isn't
Yes,
it?
it is very.
We think it's important to our city, not just for the tourists and visitors, but also for our commuters that work back and forth. So Seattle's pretty big. The nice thing about Bremerton is you can live in a community that's a little bit smaller. We're on the water. We're beautiful. We've got lots of things to share, and then you can still get to a metropolitan city.
Exactly.
So you've got the sports activities.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a favorite sports team?
I'm not into football, but I'm liking the Seahawks right now.
We're liking the Seahawks too.
I'm actually disappointed that the Sonics went away. So
that happened. Well, were you up here at the time that they?
I was here. I got here in 2008. That's when I found out that the Sonics got moved to Oklahoma.
We've got a pretty good professional women's football.
Yes.
Basketball team.
Right.
The Storms,
yes.
and they do very well.
I'm a fan.
Well, I'm sure that to become Sailor of the Year, you've got lots of fans in the Navy, and you've done an excellent job. It's been fun for me to have you on board, introduce you to some of our citizens. You've become a mentor now to our young women that might want to take and join the Navy.
Yes, ma'am.
We're going to take a short break, but I'd like you to stay with us until we come back. It's fun to have you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Growing Bremerton Together was filmed live on location at the Puget Sound Navy Museum, located in downtown Bremerton. Open 7 days a week. Please visit their website at PugetSoundNavyMuseum.org for hours of operation, exhibit information, and more. PugetSoundNavyMuseum.org.
Welcome back to Growing Bremerton Together with Mayor Patty Lent. We're still visiting the Nimitz, and as you can see, I have a new guest with me. This is Lieutenant Commander Stephen Rue.
Yes, ma'am.
And he is the Public Affairs Officer for the USS Nimitz. I had the pleasure of meeting him on December 9th of last year as the ship was just going through Rich Passage and coming into port. So describe some of the things that you were able to show me and other mayors and leaders and officials of the cities and county as you came into port.
Well, first of all, I'd like to ask you, how was your flight out to the ship aboard the Seahawk, ma'am?
The helicopter was exciting. It was the biggest I've ever been in, and a little noisy, but they flew at an altitude that allowed us to see everything we could see. We circled your ship about 3 times before we actually landed. That was very exciting.
Outstanding. Well, I know the flight crew, they took a great deal of pride in bringing you guys out to us to visit us during your 2-hour embark aboard the ship as we pulled into Bremerton itself. We enjoyed touring you around our ship itself. Unfortunately, you didn't get the chance to meet the captain at that time because he was busy bringing the ship in, but you did meet the executive officer, Captain John Ring, and some of the other senior officers aboard the ship, and got a chance to talk to some of our sailors and hear them, their excitement as we were pulling in, and happy that we had a place to come home to finally.
Right.
So,
tell me a little bit about the numbers that are serving on the ship.
well, with the Nimitz itself, when she came up here, we just brought the ship's company, which comprises about 2,800 sailors, male and female, and of that, we have about 750 families established within the community here in Kitsap County. And I'm not sure exactly how many live in Bremerton, but we're all over the Kitsap Peninsula.
We like that. We like having them just in our community. We encompass all of Kitsap County when we talk about that. We're even so close to Mason County and to Gig Harbor that we include all of those people. So it's all of one community.
It truly is, and one of the first projects I had a chance to work on was our community outreach efforts. And we went down and we did this Schools for Backpacks program where we put food into backpacks, and that was down at the Key Peninsula. And the church invited us down there, so we took about 25 sailors down there, and you know, that was our first one. And I think yesterday we just did a project with the Humane Society here in Bremerton. So our sailors are getting out, learning the community, volunteering in the community. We're integrating, I think, fairly well with the City of Bremerton, Silverdale, and Port Orchard.
That's great. Your job as public affairs officer, so from in the morning till afternoon, are you in our community? Are you on ship? Are you with the sailors and their families? Tell us a little bit about what you actually do for the Navy.
Well, as the public affairs officer, I report directly to the captain and the executive officer. Captain Paul Monger, he's the commanding officer of the USS Nimitz, and then you got Captain John Ring, who's our executive officer. I do more of the internal communication for the ship, you know, communicating our key messages to them, where the captain's desires are, the XO's desires are. Most of those are about safety or medical changes or administrative stuff that the sailors need to know about, keeping them informed of what's going on in Big Navy. And then we do the external communication part, which is where we're looking at the community and we see what stories that we could put out here about what our sailors are doing as well. And then we have the community relations aspect of public affairs. This is where we're going, we volunteer our time. And it's a give back to the community. The community is phenomenal, by the way. I've never seen such a more welcome reception than you guys all flying out to us. And but I mean, this took months and months of planning and coordination to do these kind of things. But when I arrived, it was almost like a seamless integration. Our families were already tied to the community. Our children were going to the schools. Our families, the spouses themselves, were working on the economy. You know, it was a seamless integration from my point of view. It was wonderful.
That's great. I realized when I was getting off the ship that everyone was getting a bouquet of flowers and some fresh loaves of bread. So I thought, boy, that's really making it down home and welcoming.
I haven't found the bakery yet, but now that I know that, I'll be looking for it.
We have one on 15th Street, so we have some little tucked away places.
Outstanding.
We have some walking maps, which I'm not sure if we brought out to the ship at the time that we were on there, but some exciting things. Today happens to be, in our viewing, every month, the very first Friday of the month, we have an arts walk. So it's something for your sailors to know about and their families. From about 5 o'clock, the end of a work day, we have all of our shops that have, sometimes they'll have a punch or a beverage, they'll have some hors d'oeuvres or something to eat, just to have a party atmosphere, and they stay open till 8 o'clock at night, which means they want to invite all of the community in to see what's the latest things going on. So the art is the pretense to come into all of our art galleries. We are one of 2 art districts in the state of Washington. The other is in Spokane. So we're proud to know that right downtown in the middle of Bremerton, we have an arts district. So many of our art galleries are there for people to take advantage of. So as the first Friday comes each month, make certain that your people out having a good time. They'll even be more ingrained in the community by seeing all the things we offer on that first Friday.
One of the things that we're doing, I publish what is known as the Nimitz News, and it's a weekly paper on board the ship. And one of the aspects inside that paper itself is what can you do in the community? And I just sent one of my sailors up to Stevens Pass. And he took his wife up there and they went skiing and spent the entire day skiing and snowboarding. It was a tough assignment for him, right? I guess I'm a hard boss to work for at times, but he wrote an excellent article and shot a lot of photos. So that's one of those things, you know, the arts in the community. That's something that I would definitely like to delve into and take some photos, go there and interview some people and put that out so the 2,700 sailors we have aboard, they can come out and enjoy Bremerton as I would. That's great, and I don't know if they like seafood. However, coming from San Diego, we've got some ocean beaches down at Ocean Shores that we have the razor clam tides. So send someone down in detail to do a weekend exploring the beaches. It's about the same distance as our mountains are. So we are really at a nice location for all the activities that can take place. I don't know, he's been to Stevens Pass, but we've got rugged mountains on the Olympics, and that's for hiking and horseback riding. They do some slushing there, I think, where you take some kind of template. It's not necessarily a sled, and you can slide down or sluice down some of the mountains. So that's fun activities for the sailors. Oh, I see trouble with that one.
little too
Here's
much
my
fun.
cardboard box. Let's go.
Well, you know, I think they'd do any of that.
One of the things I was explaining to one of your staff members earlier was, coming from San Diego, I mean, you can surf year-round.
Yes.
And so coming up here in December with the weather not being sunny as we're used to, you know, we have to find ourselves doing other kind of sports activities or outdoor activities in general.
Right.
And so that's one of the reasons why we did the snowboarding, skiing story at Stevens Pass. You know, because that's one of the things that we want to try to entice our sailors to go out there and do these things
Explore
and get out and
something new.
explore the state of Washington. Right. I've heard many great things about the state of Washington, and now I'm here, so I'm excited about it myself.
That's great.
And so we'll see what happens.
Well, you know, we're going to have a beer fest. Not that anyone drinks beer, but it's the first time that Bremerton will be involved. It's going to be July 30th, and 24 microbreweries. Not only are we known for our Washington State wines, but we also have 128 craft breweries. And so we're inviting 24 of them to be here. I think that if you thought it might be something they'd enjoy, we'd like to get them involved in the festivities and the event as well.
Well, as you know, sailors, you know, they're in the Navy, and they do like to consume frosty cold beverages from time to time. I would like to say be responsible about what you do consume.
Certainly.
And, you know, take accountability for those actions.
Right.
So I'm sure they'll enjoy that time in end of July when it does come up. But be responsible, guys.
We have, you're going to be here 12 months. The retrofit will bring things up to the latest in electronics, some of the equipment that the ship is going to take and
more modernization, especially with our combat systems. We're now running fiber optic cables through. You know, when this ship was built, you know, well over 35 plus years ago, she's been commissioned for 35 years. You know, they didn't design it to have as many phone lines as she has now, or internet wasn't around at that time.
Correct.
So we've been finding ways to make things work on the ship. Well, her being in the yard now, she gets a chance to be retrofitted the proper way. And with NAVC's blessing, which is huge. That's so great. That we'll have better internet access, fiber optic lines. You know, we're doing some updating to firefighting stations, propulsion plants, basic engineering spaces as well. So, and berthing rehabs. The ship, you know, 35 years old, she's amazing. She's phenomenal. I'm happy to be on board. So.
And after all of this is done, will she be good for another 10 or 20 years?
Right. Well, you know, we build a carrier with life expectancy of 50 years. 50. So there's no telling. You know, she's good for at least 15 more years. The Navy will make the decision whether or not to keep her on any longer. So that's up to Big Navy.
Sure.
But I tell you what, every sailor who's ever served aboard the Nimitz, from day one till right now, is very proud of that ship. And some of them I like to call repeat offenders because they come back for the second tour. So well, give the other sailors an opportunity to come out there and enjoy it.
That's a great compliment for them. Now, when we're finished with the work, she'll actually be homeported in Everett.
Yes, ma'am.
And it looks like at least 2 years.
Well, she'll be homeported there until the Navy tells us differently.
So
just like we're in San Diego for 9.5 years. So this is a permanent homeport change that we'll do when we leave here.
That'll be great.
But what's nice for the city of Bremerton is the shipyard's right here, so when we go out and we do our trials, we'll have to come back here for our maintenance reviews. So it keeps us local.
It keeps that tie, I think.
It does.
Which is great.
And building that relationship is so important to all of us. The commanding officer, that's his #1 goal, you know, to make sure our guys are good custodians within the Kitsap County.
You know, there's myths all around about the Navy, and people say those average sailors are 19 years old. I know that you need to tell us what the average age for someone that's operating the USS Nimitz.
Well, you know, the average sailor, I don't think that statement's fair because our sailors are not average. They're very unique.
How proud.
And, you know, if you look at what we're getting today for the junior sailor who enlists in the Navy versus what we're getting 20 years ago, you're getting a sailor that's educated. Most of them have 2-year degrees, if not more than that. So our sailors are around 26 years of age. That's the average age of a sailor on board the USS Nimitz.
That's great. And the women are, you've got a very special woman that, she has a special job, I should say.
Well, we have one I believe that you're quite fond of there.
Yes.
And Lieutenant Commander Regina Rogers.
Yes.
She is the first female ship's handler in the entire Navy. She controls the movement of all aircraft on the flight deck and in the hangar bays. She came in as an E1. She's now an 04 Lieutenant Commander, as I am. and we'll get her on your show one day for you.
I'm looking forward to that. I had the pleasure of meeting her as we were departing, and it seems like the crew has just a great rapport, but they really respect what she does, what she stands for, and anytime the woman steps into a leadership, the first of anything, it's exciting for her, it's exciting for the rest of us, and what a mentor for other young women that have joined the Navy, or that women that say, well, I would join the Navy, but we just don't have the same equal opportunity as our fellow male sailors. That isn't true today.
It is not true. The Navy, a sailor is a sailor. Gender doesn't matter. If you're qualified, you'll take the job. Regina is very qualified, so she has a job. She's not our only female we have on board that's in a leadership role. We have our ship psych. We have our PT on board as well, our physical therapist. There are a lot of females who take strong leadership roles, and also on our enlisted side of the house too. It's an equal opportunity military, and that's the way it should be.
I have to say, what a grand way to end my first visit with you, having you on board, having you on this show, showing off some of the people that we have serving in our U.S. Navy and on the USS Nimitz. Go girls, go Navy. We're glad to have you in port. Thank you for joining me on the show.
Thanks, Laura. I appreciate your time.
See you again next time.